both of us are immigrants to the United States. You came here at 19, right?
Right.
What year was that?
1993.
In 1993. So this was before the tech boom, and you came over here. I came from Mexico when I was 4, and that was in 1952. So you came in 93. What impelled you to come to the United States? What was your interest?
Sorry. I actually came here on immigration.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy back in India. I had no intention of moving, to be honest. Leaving all my friends, school, everything that was settled. But this was something that my parents had filed for a long time ago, almost 11, 12 years ago, through my maternal uncle. And eventually it came. So we all came here on immigration.
So what was your sense of, was it a culture shock to arrive here at 19 years old in 1993 and to begin to experience that? From what you had heard of America, from what the United States and what it was?
It was a cultural shock. Little things. You know, we came to the US in Cleveland, Ohio. And my uncle at the time lived in a really nice neighborhood, a nice part of Cleveland. And we would go out for evening walks, and there's almost nobody on the street. It's very clean, very tidy. All the lawns and yards are really nicely manicured, flowers. It felt like we were on a vacation.
Yes.
The only place where you see this kind of sights in India are hill stations.
Yes.
You have to go somewhere in the Himalaya to see this kind of a sight. And here it was everywhere. The second thing that hits you right away, at least when I came here, was cars. That's no longer the case. India also has lots of cars, for better or for worse. Streets are full of them. But when I was growing up, very few people had cars. So you saw cars here and there. Mostly you saw bicycles and two-wheelers.
Right.
And here, just the freeways, 4 lanes, 5 lanes, full of cars, all these red lights. It was truly surreal.
Oh, I can imagine. Did you have, who were you spiritually at that time? Because both of us have talked about, what we've talked about is that we're both spiritual beings having a human journey. So who were you at 19 and on this spiritual journey that you were coming on?
I was a overconfident and arrogant man.
You knew
It's the
you
truth,
were,
I was.
Well, you knew you were bright. You had
Yes.
scored very high on your 12
Yeah,
years.
I did.
You knew that, right? And
Right. I was always reasonably intelligent. I didn't have any specific talent. Like I wasn't particularly good at math or particularly good at history or art. I could do it all reasonably well, or maybe slightly above average.
Absolutely.
That was the reason for my success. The other reason for my success was growing up, I had almost photographic memory. I had unbelievable retention, way above most ordinary people. I could read things, pages, poems, and it could be 10 pages long. I could remember it word to word. I don't have that anymore, unfortunately, but I had that. Even today, if I whip out a Toastmaster speech that's 3 pages long, I can memorize it in 20 minutes and deliver it. But I don't have that level of retention. But that was a big factor in my academic success. It wasn't my problem-solving skills necessarily, but it was my ability to remember things. But I was confident, but I had this strong, what made me arrogant was this strong sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Absolutely.
This,
Black and white.
I had a lot of indignation and self-righteousness. That's a very dangerous thing, spiritually speaking.
Yes.
Because
and for our peace of mind.
For our peace of mind.
Because,
yes.
I mean, it can fuel righteous indignation and umbrage, and I mean, that can just be this fuel that goes into the fire, and we just keep stoking it.
Yeah. And before you know, you have made so many people mad. So many. I didn't really have any enemies, but and I was for the most part easygoing, but if I saw something even on a cricket playground that I thought was wrong, I had no problem picking fight.
Yeah.
And I think that was fundamentally my lack of ability to understand other people, where they came from. And so really, for me personally, a big part of my own spiritual journey is simply what we're doing now, understanding others.
So how did that happen? What was the turn? What were some of the turns, some of the that began to shape that?
The biggest turn had to do actually two things. First was my career at IBM, which I always believed, because of my intelligence, I should have progressed a lot faster, and I didn't. That's because no one cares how smart you are or how much you can code. The emotional intelligence is a big factor. So for example, one of the things that never happened was I kept asking for opportunities to be in front of clients, and they just wouldn't put me because they weren't sure what I would say. And I may say something that's not quite right, or I may lose my temper, or whatever, right? If I felt, no, strongly opinionated, too strongly. And that definitely hurt my career, and I realized that over time. So I said, I need to make a change here. And the second thing that helped me, believe it or not, was Toastmasters. That giving and receiving feedback and listening to other people's story is so vital to understanding other people and putting aside your agenda for a second and leveling with somebody and said, I just want to hear what you think. It's okay if you differ from me. It's okay if you're on the opposite end of the circle. You know, I believe everybody should have college education, and you believe nobody should be wasting their money on college. I'm okay with that. But at 19, if you told me that, we would probably have a fight.
Exactly. So you didn't get, you began this journey then, was there, I get the fact that one of the things that we're progressing in our understanding in business is the value of emotional intelligence, the values of empathy, why these kinds of listening skills. Were they highlighted in IBM? Because we think of IBM, Big Blue, as one of the great technological companies in the world.
Right.
And a lot of engineers.
Yeah.
And engineers are not known for their emotional intelligence.
Right.
But yet it's being brought into IBM?
It's always been there. If you look at people who, people who progress faster are not necessarily because they are the best at technical aspects, but they know how to lead others. They know how to motivate others. They are good listeners. They can understand other people's point of view. They can keep all the arrogant engineers at bay, make them feel important, get the best out of them, right? And show at the end of the day that they had a big part to play in getting this thing done. So emotional intelligence has never been undervalued. In fact, now I think it's surfaced a lot more. But I think there's a lot to be said about Indian education as well.
Please.
It doesn't emphasize this aspect very much. There is the disciplinarian aspect. And you find a lot of teachers who are downright martinets.
Yes.
But it's not done in a way that's done here. I recently went to my kids' Christmas party.
This is your daughter?
My daughter and my son.
Yes.
First graders. On the big wall, they had these signs, which each sign had one sentence or one word, and every single word or sentence had to do with emotional intelligence. For example, be part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. So kids are taught here, along with mathematics and science and reasoning and logic abilities, they are also taught how to behave, how to grow emotionally.
To cooperate.
Exactly.
I love those cooperate.
Cooperate. Cooperation Because really, even innovation, technological innovation, you can't do, those days of one inventor who changed the world are...
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger, the one man who invented the telephone, and the
Yeah.
one man who invented the electricity, and one man... That still happens, but not very often.
You can get the insight, you can get the idea and the breakthrough, but you're not going to bring it through.
Exactly, yeah.
Without the
It's not going to
cooperation.
realize,
No.
right? So even the examples of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos that I gave earlier, both men
Yes.
have this vision of saving Earth. They need literally millions of people to make their vision true, and they just can't achieve that without getting the cooperation of people around them, all the way down to the guy in the warehouse who's wrapping Christmas presents. It's necessary.
Now, on your journey, one of the things that I like, there's a big movement through the number 3 at Google, search inside yourself, and meditation and mindfulness and all. You got into meditation and mindfulness. What was your trip into that? And what difference have you seen it make in your day-to-day life?
Right. I was always interested in spirituality, ever since I was little. And I was never really into going to the temple, doing puja, pilgrimages, lighting up a lamp and singing the Sanskrit verses. That was never my thing. If I didn't understand it, I wouldn't do it. My father, he spends 2 hours even today doing that. And his reason for doing that is because his father did it.
Yes.
So I'm a deviant of a sort in my family. But meditation makes sense to me because one thing is very clear. In order for me to change from deep within, first thing that I need is ability to concentrate my mind. I have to know what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and then maybe I can do something about it. It doesn't mean I know what to do with it yet, but at least I'm no longer on an autopilot.
Yes.
I am very aware of my thoughts, my feelings, my sensations on the body. I know why I'm irritated at a little thing, because really I have a headache. It has nothing to do with what you said or did.
We
It's
are never
important for me-
angry for the reasons we think we are.
think we are. And over time, as I wanted to grow, really because I also wanted to grow my career at IBM,
Yes.
and I realized that a change was needed in me. It was far more than that.
Yeah.
Right? The benefits were my health was better, I was sleeping better, I was less irritable. I think my wife appreciated me.
A better, right, and a better father, a better husband, a better
Yes.
human being.
Yeah, and the biggest benefit that I have received from meditative practices is that I receive tremendous cooperation from people all in every activity that I do, whether it's Toastmasters or it's coaching, softball, or it's at IBM now where I'm leading. I'm no longer just doing technical work. I have a team of 9 people. All these places, I'm seeing that people cooperate because I have changed. They may or may not have changed, I don't know.
No.
And I give that credit to these practices.
And so in your practice, do you ritualize it? Do you get up in the morning and meditate? And where do you think the misunderstanding is about, or the myths in meditation, and because I have a meditative practice, but I'm not sure that my practice looks at all like what other people would look.
Sure, and there are many meditative practices. In fact, on the way here, I saw several signs of different kinds of yoga.
Yoga, when you use that term, Help me to understand that.
Sure, sure. I'm glad you asked. The word yoke, the dictionary meaning of it, is simply connection.
Got it.
Okay, emotional connection. So if I'm thinking here, I'm sitting here thinking about my mother back in India. I am having yoga with her. What happens? As soon as I think about her, first thing that happens in this case is I see her image in front of my mind.
Yes.
We just did FaceTime this morning or yesterday morning, so
Wonderful. So that
fresh.
it's burned into, yes.
Yeah, I see her. Next thing that happens is I remember my relationship to her. Now it can be positive or negative. It need not be positive. In this case, it's positive. It's a wonderful relationship that I have with my mother. And as soon as I remember my relationship, and this all happens within fraction of a second, it's very, very fast.
Oh, yes.
Something arises, either love, fondness, kind feelings, or hatred, anger, resentment, frustration, disappointment, anxiety.
Sure.
And that's yoga. That's it. I felt something when I thought about someone in a relationship. We don't think about there are 8 billion people on this planet. We don't think about everyone. We don't have feelings towards everyone. So it's really this group of 100 or so people, friends, families, neighbors, colleagues, that we are concerned with. And for each one, we have a set of feelings, sometimes positive, sometimes not positive, and that's yoga.
Yes.
So when we apply this idea, at least in Raj Yoga meditation that I teach, I instruct, and I want to clarify, I'm only an instrument.
Yes.
The word yoga requires two parties, me and someone else. In my example, me and my mother. So you need a second party, and the second party in Raj Yoga is God. The hardest thing, your original question of what is so hard about meditation, I think having done this for now little over a year, what I see a lot of people come with a preconceived idea of what meditation should do for them. And the word meditation and the spirituality are combined, sometimes not in the right way. For example, people come and they want to experience something out of this world, something that they've never felt before. And sometimes that happens, but the experiences you have in a genuinely spiritual life are experiences of peace.
Yes.
You feel deep peace. Sometimes you feel joy, which is not dependent on any senses or any relationships or anything of this world.
Or in anything that's changing outside.
Changing outside of us, exactly.
It's not dependent upon that.
Dependent upon anything. Or sometimes clarity. Some deeper truth gets realized. But that's not what they're looking for. What they're looking for is out-of-body experience or kundalini rising or something else. And I almost can instantly tell that I probably won't be seeing them again. Right?
And I can understand that, but can you look at them and see your 19-year-old self?
Oh yes.
With your own arrogance and with my own umbrage and my own fears and my own as I see.
Absolutely.
And have compassion, because I'm really working on that. One of the things I'm working on is how do I have compassion for myself? Because I have an ability to have compassion, or at least fake compassion, or demonstrate compassion for many people.
Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. There is nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
You have to go out of your way and try it.
And that's what I'm working on for me.
Yeah.
Is to treat myself that way, because I find that I end up offering to the world.
Yeah, so definitely, compassion is a big part of it. Not for myself, but I tell them that it is wonderful that you came, because I live up in Round Rock, and sometimes people from Georgetown and South Austin and Buda and Cedar Park and Pflugerville, all kinds of people, they look me up and they come. So I pat them on the back just for being there. It's a 7-day course, but sometimes they leave after the first day because they don't believe in God, or this is
Right.
not what they were looking for, which is okay with me.
Certainly.
But fact that you actually drove here, you came here, and we got to spend 1 hour together, that's not nothing.
That's holy.
That
That
is
is
one
as bi- that is as mu- that is amazing.
And they are still looking, so they will go try something else, so they're going to continue. And out of all the people that I have met over the last year, whether they complete the course, whether they continue the practice or not, irrespective of any of that, what's wonderful to see is that they all had at least a tiny bit experience of peace when they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something they have been very appreciative of. It's not an experience I believe that I gave them. It's an experience, in my view, came from God. But it just tells me, it's encouraging for me
Yes.
to keep the doors open and to keep going. To see, so success is not that somebody becomes enlightened at the end. Success is just, hey, you drove 20 miles when you could have been doing something else.
Chop wood, carry water,
And you're here.
and you're here.
So I really appreciate that.
I love Richard Feynman is one of my heroes, the physicist.
Mine too.
And I love what he said. He was talking with Herman Wouk about God, and he said, "Look, God is too big for the stage." Meaning, to me, that there is no way, there is nothing I can imagine large enough to encapsulate what this word is, yet we throw it around. We
Yes.
throw it around and we
Right.
say, okay, well, this is what, do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Well, how would I even understand what your definition of what that is, even to get, how long would we need to spend together before we could even get
Right.
to the place where we understand we were both talking about the same word?
Right. In this particular meditation, I tell people when they come to learn it that give yourself 3 months. If you come here on a regular basis, at least on the weekends for 3 months, and there's no charge for this, it's all free of charge. We don't charge a penny for this. You would understand exactly what you're asking, because God is so, to most people, it's a very complex being with multifaceted personality, omniscient, all-knowing, almighty. What does all these things?
Omnipresent, exactly.
Right. So what is that? Who is God? I give them introduction on day 1, because to have the Raj Yoga, you need 2 parties, I, the soul, and God, and then you need a relationship.
Yes.
To even have the yoga. So we talk about that on very first day. But just because I told you that you are a soul doesn't mean that I tell them that now you're going to spend rest of your life realizing that. This is a lifetime
Congratulations.
job. Yeah, congratulations. Now you know you're a soul. But you need to come here to really understand what it means, first at the intellectual level, and then, as I said, you will have experiences of clarity and peace, and slowly that realization is drop by drop.
Yes.
In a 20-minute meditation, there is 1 second of absolute peace and silence. But that 1 second is very potent. It's like a tiny medicine. It can cure a 6-foot body. It's like that, and you have to collect that power of silence. Then the doors open inside, one after the other, and realizations come. But you have to give it time.
Is there anything I try to think back over my life and any of the, like, for example, you're playing the piano. You didn't sit down the very first day and sit down and knock out the Moonlight Sonata and work out, right? I
Right,
mean,
no.
How would it be with any different with this path?
It's not. It's exactly the same. It's funny you said that. The reason I'm chuckling is because we went to see the lights at Fredericksburg and Johnson City just yesterday. They have a ice rink in Fredericksburg Park, right next to the park. And my son, he wanted to try it. And my daughter did too. But my daughter can already do rollerblading, so she had an easier time going around the rink.
Yes.
But my son didn't. But he wanted to do what his sister did. So he got on it, and he wanted to go as fast as she was, and he kept falling over and over again. And I kept telling him, Owen, you have to take it easy. First, learn to walk, learn to stand.
Yes.
So this is like that. Really, anything is like that. Whether it's playing
Right.
piano or learning to do art or learning
Or
to
having
meditate.
a new project at IBM.
Or having a new project at IBM.
A first day of a project, when you've brought the entire team together and you're beginning to lead them to go somewhere, then isn't it like that?
It absolutely is like that. It is a process.
Thank you.
So,
What a lovely experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.